Good morning, everybody. I'm very excited about this Twitter space today. I'm glad everybody is jumping on real quick here. We'll give a few of our guests a few more minutes, but we'll get things kicked off here in about 60 seconds. So hold tight. Thank you all. All right, cool. Yeah, that Daniel Prince said he likes the dating app music, so I figured it was apt. It's not a dating app, but maybe it is. Who knows? So if you guys are one of our guest speakers today, please send me an invite. I'm going to try and invite some of you guys up, but let me get those manual invites as well. Sorry, it takes a second to get everybody logged in here. All right. All right, Daniel, are you is your mic working over there? All right. I think you're in now, Daniel. Can you say something so we can hear you?
1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Okay, cool. I think you were the last one that I was having trouble getting invited on here. Welcome. I mean, we got we got an amazing panel today. The discussion is going to be really, really fun. Just a few points of housekeeping before we get started. All of our guest speakers, this is meant to be a conversation. We want this to be as much of a fireside chat with you guys as possible. So I'm going to ask some questions, but feel free to take this organically where you want to go with it. You guys don't need to wait for me to call on you or raise your hand. You're welcome to as well. But anyways, yeah, we want this to be free flowing, and the plebs want to hear from you guys, not from me. But for those of you guys that don't know, this is an Orange Pill app space. We do these monthly, sometimes more than monthly, but this is a special one where we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin social layer and what the implications are, or the need. What is the need for a social layer to Bitcoin? And then one other little fun thing we like to do in our spaces. It's a bit learning. It's a bit fun. We drop a 12-word seed phrase throughout the episode or throughout the space. And so whoever grabs those 12 words, you guys can unlock a Bitcoin wallet that has 250,000 sats in it. So keep an ear out for those words as we start. I'm going to pop off a question for our guests today to get them welcome in. And then in a few minutes, we'll drop those first few seed words here. So let me get Jeff Booth on the mic. Knut is on the mic now. I think we got everybody in here. Guys, welcome to the show. I'm going to do a brief intro on everybody. Everybody knows. I guess there's really no need for introduction here, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So, the first guest that we have up today is Mr. Robert Breedlove. He is a freedom maximalist. You guys know you guys know all about Robert. He has the What Is Money show, one of my favorite podcasts to listen into weekly. Very, very, very important podcast. He always talks about how he's learning in public. And I find that hard to believe that he's still learning, but he's a humble guy, and he brings on some amazing guests for us all to learn along with him. Jeff Booth, author of The Price of Tomorrow, one of the fundamental books, the foundational books in the Bitcoin space. talks about deflation. I have some deflation related questions for Jeff specifically. I know he's got to catch a plane today as well, so we're going to try and be mindful of his time. But yeah, very interested in that. Knut Svanholm, he's an author as well. If you guys haven't heard a podcast with Knut or read any of his work, you need to do it. He has such an interesting take. His book, Everything Divided by 21 Million, is again one of those landmark books in the space. Daniel Prince, the host of the Once Bitten podcast, he's also the author of Choose Life. Just again, incredible. Every one of these guests has a foundational piece of work or content that they're providing in this space. And our last guest, but certainly not least, Mr. BTC Sessions, just passed some big milestones on YouTube, on followers on Twitter. I mean, this guy is blowing up. BTC Sessions has he has a YouTube channel that has all sorts of great content. I learned how to run a Lightning node through the BTC Sessions show. He has a weekly Friday show where it's called Why Are We Bullish? If you guys ever want to get pumped up on the future of Bitcoin, the Why Are We Bullish Friday show is a must. So thank you guys all for joining. And I want to kick this off with a quote. And this will kind of set the tone, hopefully, a little bit for what we're going to be talking about. It's by R. Buckminster Fuller. And the quote reads, let me pull it up here. And you guys probably already know this one here. But the quote reads, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. In order to change things, build a better model that makes the existing model obsolete." So with that quote and with the context of today's topic, the Bitcoin social layer, I would like to ask you guys, what are your thoughts? What are the implications of this new model? What is the importance of the Bitcoin social layer? I'm going to open it up with the big question, and then we'll narrow it in. So let me kick it off first with Mr. Jeff Booth. Welcome to the Twitter space. We're really honored to have you. And what are your thoughts on the Bitcoin social layer, on the R. Buckminster quote, and just your general thoughts on Bitcoin right now?
Yeah, I love that quote. I actually used it in the greatest game as well, and it speaks to how we build things. So typically, a monopoly can't see what's coming with technology. The monopoly tries to protect itself, and it's pretty typical what the monopoly does to protect itself. And then monopoly drives itself off a cliff by trying to protect itself. It's no different when it's the money monopoly. And I think one of the things that kind of to the tune of this space is we are social creatures. Of course, Bitcoin is going to be social over time. And I think one of the things that, people for a long time, Bitcoin was looked at as only the asset, and you couldn't build on top of it. So when you couldn't build on top of it and it create a whole bunch of wealth for people, it's obvious that a whole bunch of other people would say, "Oh, I'm going to create something else that you can build on." That's changed now with Lightning, and because Bitcoin isn't it's an asset as well, but it's also a protocol. And the entire evolution of that protocol stack is in motion. And of course, we're going to use it as a social layer. If you look at what's happening on Nostr and Bitcoin, that integration right now, and if you look at just all of the different things that are going to happen as a result of this, it's a really exciting time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said that. I mean, you closed with that. It's a really exciting time. I think that we as Bitcoiners, we see we understand the bad news, and we also get excited about the good news. We're not doom and gloomers, right? We don't just talk about how the world's going to hell in a handbasket. There's a solution at hand too. So I think that's part of the optimism of the Bitcoin community. Mr. Robert Breedlove, what are your thoughts on this in the Bitcoin social layer?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm actually at a gym right now, having a little social layer experience myself. I think what Jeff said is very apt, and it calls to mind I'm not advocating for placeholder VC, but they wrote a great thesis. I think this is back in 2017 or 2018, I used one of their infographics in one of my earlier written works, but they basically showed this path of when an innovator creates something new, there's a huge incentive to monopolize that something new. But over time, because things are just ultimately ideas, right? They're processes in the way that we develop them, whether it's a good or a service, whatever it may be, that this proprietary innovation becomes commoditized. And so that's kind of like the natural path of things, that we figure out something new, the person that figures out wants to monopolize it, sell it, profit from it. But as they're selling it, the information that instantiates that innovation actually gets permeated into the marketplace. So I think we've seen that a lot, right? You know, you could look at the history of railroads and oil and electricity. There's a lot of major innovations that have kind of followed this path. But with money, it seems like we could never get out of that trap, right? Like money is something, a very, very important technology, very all-encompassing technology, and the temptation to monopolize it is just too great. So it seems like you almost could never get out of that dilemma with money as a technology before Bitcoin. We needed to create something that was unmonopolizable, if that's even a word. And I think that speaks to just the trajectory that we're on, that we finally have a monetary technology that cannot be bent and twisted for the aims of a few against the aims of many. So I think it's really exciting. And just to speak to the social layer component, this is something that's kind of hard for people to get their head around, because they're always saying, like, I mean, Jamie Dimon said this recently, right? How do you know that when Bitcoin gets to 21 million, I think he said Satoshi's face won't pop up and just laugh at everyone and keep printing? And that betrays like this deep ignorance of the social layer of Bitcoin, that each node is selecting the rules that govern their Bitcoin experience, basically, right? And it's that social consensus point, or that Schelling point, that makes 21 million such an unshakable motif, really, for Bitcoin. So I think that's a big light bulb moment for a lot of people when they just look at this thing as a technology and they fail to grok the social component. It's extremely important to understand that the protocol layer is only enforcing the rules that are selected at the social layer.
Yeah, very well said. Knut, what do you have for us?
Yeah, thanks for letting me be in this fantastic group of people. As always, I'm grateful to be here. I have a lot to say about Bitcoin's social layer. First of all, I think the social layer is absolutely crucial. It's what Bitcoin is. When I get the question nowadays, what is Bitcoin? My answer is it's an agreement between people on a fixed set of rules that do not change unless everyone thinks it's a good idea to change them. And if you flip that around, you realize that it can only change for the better. So Bitcoin can either keeps on doing what it's doing, which is fantastic, or it gets even better. And since Bitcoin can be used as money, and money touches everything, every good or service can be exchanged for money. That means that from this point on, humanity can only get better and never worse. And that's what makes me so insanely optimistic and bullish about this thing. I have a video collaboration with Yoni Appelberg and Guy Swan coming out tonight at 2100 Central European time, diving even deeper into this subject and what it does to people. I think the most underrated aspect of Bitcoin is you, the Bitcoiner, because you're incentivized to help Bitcoin succeed, and other Bitcoiners are too. So if Bitcoin succeeds, if Bitcoiners succeed, so we're incentivized to help one another and with everything. And I've been in so many groups of fantastic people, just building stuff and helping things happen. And we very rarely exchange a single sat with each other. So Bitcoin, ironically enough, I think in the long run removes the need for money. Um, it doesn't completely remove it, of course, and we need a good unit of account for economic calculation to happen. But it unlocks something within us that we had all along, and that's like the will to collaborate and be friendly to one another instead of playing these stupid fiat games where you might as well just rip each other off. So I think since we're incentivized to help one another because we're incentivized to help Bitcoin, and that I don't see a point in time where that goes away. I think that only amplifies and gets stronger over time. That incentive to just be better to one another. So I think this is why I think Bitcoin's killer app is you, the user, and why the social layer is so important. And when you meet Bitcoiners in real life, you realize what the bond you have with these people and how they truly are your brothers and sisters from all over the globe. And stupid things such as borders and superficial things don't matter anymore. You can trust these people. That's the irony of it. The don't trust, verify aspect somehow unlocked an ability within us to be able to trust one another on a deeper level. So I think that the rabbit hole is truly bottomless, and especially when it comes to the social layer. So I'm very optimistic.
Beautiful. BTC sessions, Ben. You've had Matteo, the Orange Pill app founder. He hates when we call him founder, so he's such a pleb. But anyways, I don't know what other way to explain him. So the guy that came up with the idea for Orange Pill app, you've had him on your show, and you guys talked about that was one aspect of why you guys were bullish, was because of this social layer. So you've had quite a bit of time to think about that. What are your thoughts on the social component of Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean it's everything, right? I think Bitcoin is unique in that, yes, it gave us a global commerce layer, and yeah, that's wonderful. We have a money that can't be debased and can't be censored and so on and so forth. All the aspects of Bitcoin we know, but it's also brought us together, not on just like it's brought together people all over the world. On those that think the same in and around money or understand money the same way. It's also brought together people that have just general low time preference when it comes to health, when it comes to family, when it comes to building local communities, when it comes to where you get your food, where it comes to a lot of different things. And I'm starting to see that manifest in a variety of ways. So like last night on Why Are We Bullish, I had Texas Slim from the Beef Initiative. And he's on a mission, again, to get people to get food from its source. Like he always says, shake a rancher's hand, go out, meet your local rancher, learn where your food comes from, start investing in yourself as a healthier person, and also build that community. And I think it's unique to see these seemingly unrelated topics like of ranchers and beef gravitating towards Bitcoin because of its nature. And I think the crux of it, Bitcoin is truth, because fiat is effectively lies, right? It takes where people place the fruits of their labor and distorts it entirely, whereas Bitcoin, if you want your Bitcoin, if you want to allocate your Bitcoin somewhere, nobody can debase that and make your influence, your economic influence, lesser than. And so I think it draws out truth or the desire to find truth in a lot of different areas, one of them being health and food. And the beautiful thing about the social layer is that Bitcoiners are connecting. They're not just having to rely on finding people with the like-minded stance on those various topics locally. it's now global. So now not only can you, be active in commerce globally with people, but you can build communities that may not be directly, in your local area, but all of a sudden you have the freedom to go and meet people around the globe and walk into any city in the world and say, hey, I'm a Bitcoiner. Where are the Bitcoiners at? And people jump at the chance to go hang out with another Bitcoiner. And you always sit down to those conversations, and I've had many of them, actually, to go hang out with another Bitcoiner. And you always sit down to those conversations, and I've had many of them. Actually, one of my favorite memories was with Knut at Baltic Honey Badger, having breakfast with him and BTC Shelling Point. And we just chatted for hours and hours. And it was I think one of my fondest Bitcoin memories was that morning breakfast where I don't even remember the specifics of the topic, but I came out of that conversation just so invigorated and ready to, take on the world. It was amazing. And yeah, I think that's important. And I think, as Jeff was saying earlier, the existing system, trying to defend itself, and it can't really. How do you defend the existing system against this globally distributed group of people, like-minded, that are waking up to the realities of the existing system and forming local bonds and international bonds and just growing everywhere? It's not, you can't stamp it out because it's everywhere but nowhere at once. And I think that's the beautiful part of the Bitcoin layer, the social layer.
Yeah, I mean, incredibly said. And that's, I mean, part of the vision, even the functionality. One of the latest releases we had on the app was that you can, initially you could just find the people around you. Like it was meant to help you find people near where you live. But the search function expanded out to when I'm traveling. Well, how do I find plebs when I'm traveling? I mean, some of that's where the magic is as well. It's like, we feel comfortable in our own communities and we have social relationships and things like that. But when I'm out and abroad, how do I expand my social network, and how do I instantly get plugged into meaningful relationships? And some of those are, the stories that we get about people that connect with other plebs on the road are absolutely incredible. So I'm going to kick it over to Daniel in just a second, but I do want to tell everybody the first 3 words for this hidden Bitcoin wallet we have in the episode. Word number 1 is gasp. Word number 2 is refuse. Word number 3 is virus. I'm going to give 11 of the 12 words today in the space. If you want the 12th word, you have to retweet this space and then DM Orange Pill app for that 12th word. So anyways, Daniel, Ben brought up something interesting. He talked about kind of the coalescence of these different things. It's food, it's education, it's all these different things, and the money maybe being the glue for that. You wrote a book on this called Choose Life. And so why is there this integration between these different things? I mean, I've been to a couple different Bitcoin conferences and meetups. I was at the Georgia Beef Initiative that Ben had referenced with Texas Slim. I've been to Pacific Bitcoin. I happened to see Harry from the Meat Mafia at both of those things. Why is a Meat Mafia guy at all these Bitcoin meetups? Why are these education people at all these different Bitcoin conferences? What do you have for us on that? Because you're kind of an expert in that space.
Thanks, Brian. Great to be here. Hey guys, awesome to be part of this group and discussing this. And there's so much to discuss. Jeff said it earlier. We're social creatures. I think that was Jeff. A lot has been said already. Let's talk about these conferences, right? What happens when you've got one of these conferences coming up? I know this happens to me. These are the feelings I feel. Even if I have a ticket, I still get that feeling of FOMO, right? What are the other side events that I'm going to be missing out on whilst I'm at the event? But it's even worse if you don't have a ticket. That is an awful feeling of FOMO, especially when you start seeing all of the pictures coming out from the people that you wish you were hanging out with, the pictures showing up on Twitter or wherever else. But then once you're there, you have the most amazing time, the most amazing conversations, as Ben referenced. You know, I've had the same conversations with all of these guys up here on the panels at different conferences around the world, which I've been lucky enough to get to. What happens when you leave? You have this awful come down. It's like a really, really bad come down, because by the time you are already in the queue at the airport to leave the conference, you're in the doldrums. You're back in normal land. You know, you're surrounded by NPCs, and it's not healthy for us to have these, you know, spikes in those dopamine hits and then these come downs, and that is being driven by our, you know, our primal instinct to be around people that we truly want to be around and resonate with, and can have these most incredibly deep conversations with. Talk about stuff you've never talked about with anyone in your life, let alone some random dude that you just met at a conference, and you stood there for 3 hours with your feet aching, but you couldn't stop talking to them. I mean, are we redefining, you know, what it is to be social? And if you look at what do we do right now, like, as for social creatures, look at what we do. We lock kids up in a classroom, the silent classroom, for 8 hours a day, from the age of 5 to 15, 5 to 18, 20, whatever it is. And then we lock our 20 to 60-year-olds up in cubicles, silent cubicles. And then we lock our old people up in homes. Like that, this is so broken. And I truly believe that Bitcoin is going to redefine what it is to be, you know, sociable again, and redefine our species as we mine our species, as we move forward, as we evolve onto this sound money that we've all, you know, Knut just summed that up perfectly with what he was talking about. You know, we are the killer app. So yeah, I'm bullish on Bitcoiners. It's awesome to be here. I'd love to get Jeff's thoughts on that, because he looks at things from, you know, don't try and create something within the system. You have to step away from the system and create something new. And I believe that's what Bitcoin is doing on every layer, and especially the social layer. And something like Orange Pill app, where we can now find each other, it's gold. It's truly, yeah, it's amazing. Well done, guys. I think I think you're offering a brilliant new dimension to the space. And again, thanks for having me on.
Jeff,
Yeah, just
kind of kicking it over
sure.
to you. What do you think?
Just to pick up on that, and I'm going to my own experience with Bitcoin, and many probably on this call know that, and I think everybody is at some level down the rabbit hole. My own experience was, even upon writing my book, I thought it could be the solution, but I wasn't convinced it was definitely the solution. And after deep dive on it over time, I became convinced that there was just no way out from the existing system, and because the existing system would collapse, and what the world would do is lean in and give it more strength. And if you actually see today what that looks like, is most of the world is leaning into the system, giving it more strength, and essentially calling elites elites. It's a really good example. And if you could, and I tweeted this the other day, but if you could convince people that debt and then inflation was required for a productive economy, and if they believe that, you would amass incredible power and wealth by stealing from them without their knowledge. And that would persist, and it would drive bigger and bigger gaps between our world and the emergent complex behavior of society. Us trading, us connecting, our kind of love of one of another would rest on top of a base foundation that was built on theft. And so what would that mirror reflection in society look like? And it would look like where we're moving. And that lie is so persistent in the world. And actually, that's also why I have massive empathy for many of the people that are stuck in that lie, because they're so in pain that they don't see that the root cause of their pain is something way deeper than they're looking at. And that's why this is so, it touches everything, because it cannot be stopped. And it can't be stopped because it's us. And now you have you have something at the base layer that one of the things you would have to expect, if what we're talking about, and many of the people on this call know that, if what we're talking about, if there was so much power in an existing system, the new system would have to be built in a way that was unbreachable, right? It could not be attacked because the money that we all gave to the system, as we tried to get more money in the other system, we would give it more power to attack Bitcoin. Bitcoin works in the inverse, and that's actually why the base layer is so profound, because it's more decentralized, more secure today. And those types of protocols, once you have that stability, then when people say, wait, I can build on top of this and provide more value, you have an emergence of this is way more powerful than the internet. Because it's peer-to-peer. It is the new peer-to-peer internet, but it touches everything. One of the things that I see often is as people come down the rabbit hole, they're carrying their baggage from the way the old system has to work into the new system. And it's the removal of that baggage in a system that works entirely opposite. Essentially, what would human nature look like on a system that was built on truth? The emergent complex behavior of the world would change. And we're in the early processes of that. But what's so, like, it's incredible to be in the early processes of that and see that emerging and knowing it's inevitable. And that's actually what connects me to many of the people on this call, and connects me to what Knut was saying and Daniel was saying. It's such a connection. It's largely a connection of love, seeing where the world's going. And all I want to do is spend more of my time in that system. And so depending where people are in the rabbit hole on that journey, they would spend like 99% of their time, 98% of their time in the existing system, and then just put a little bit of money in this system. As they get deeper into it, they spend way more of their time in the Bitcoin system. And the result of that is more hope in the world. They just literally have a new frame of where the world's going.
Ben, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, to tag on to what Jeff just said, picture the majority of people that you know, their demeanor over the past few years as everything around the globe kind of happened. And then picture the demeanor of the average Bitcoiner. And when I looked across my group of quote unquote normie friends, or we'll just say non-orange pilled friends yet, it was sadness, it was depression, it was feeling like there was no sense of hope. And when I looked to the Bitcoin community, like, yeah, I know Twitter can be abrasive at times, but like there's a general underlying tone of hope and purpose. We're driven towards a common goal, and a knowing that regardless of what happens in the interim, in the end, the outcome will be a positive one for humanity. And to jump back a little bit further to something that Breedlove said, he was saying how, Jamie Dimon thinks, well, Bitcoin, the supply will change, but in reality, we enforce the consensus. Every person is a node in the network. I mean, I think the same idea applies here for values in general, right? Every person is a node in the network, and we've created kind of this culture in and around Bitcoin, in around values and low time preference that is seeming to permeate people the more they get exposed to the space. And those nodes of independent value are located around the globe, and they're growing. And I think that's a massively positive thing. It just makes me excited. I don't have too much to add there, but those are my thoughts.
I could piggyback on that. I sent out a couple of tweets just now that were inspired by some of the things you guys are saying. One of which was, this goes back to the old Carl Jung quote that people don't have ideas, ideas have people. And man, if that's not a really good framing for Bitcoin, I don't know what is, right? We're all just nodes or carriers or representatives of this idea that Satoshi gave us. And so long as we act as if it exists, it exists. You know, it's incredible. It's hard to talk about these things. I often analogize it to the calendar, right? Like the calendar only works because we all pretend that it works, right? You can show up at the restaurant on June 17th at 4:30. That's just some artificial overlay we put on space and time, and it helps us coordinate our action. Well, money's similar, right? We put this artificial overlay on the flows of capital. And Bitcoin's just like the best idea of money, right? It's the best, purest form of money we've ever had. And something Princey said, I heard this quote a long time ago that, you know, Bitcoin, the killer app of the internet is Bitcoin. But I think Princey said something to the effect that the killer app of Bitcoin is people, right? Us, free people, freedom, individual sovereignty, something like that. So you can't separate yourself, right? You can't just buy and hold Bitcoin and not get pulled into this social network effect. A lot of people have tried to describe this. I think John Vallis has done a really good job where he describes the attributes of good money actually becoming reflected in the attributes of its users, right? Like Bitcoin cannot tell a lie. Bitcoin is always working. Bitcoin is universally transparent. Bitcoin does exactly what it says it will do. You know, all of these descriptions, I guess, of this socioeconomic phenomenon we call Bitcoin, they seem to become infused into individuals. And that is just so fucking fascinating to me. It's really hard to describe. It's as if everything in nature is constantly in communication. And for human beings, you know, money is just one of our most important communication protocols. But even internally, right, psychologically, biologically, metabolically, we're communication systems. So my evolving thesis on all of this is there's a very deep continuity between the complex system that is the human organism and the complex system that is the global economy. And if money is the lifeblood of the global economy and it's something we think through, you know, maybe there really is a profound psychological, sociological implication to just the adoption of Bitcoin. And wow, you know, just so exciting to be alive for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. I'm sitting here so inspired right now. For all of the plebs in the audience, just so you know, this conversation is so amazing. All of the rest of the seed words are going to be in the pleb hangout at the end of the show. So if you're hanging out for the seed words, just so you know, those are coming up. Those are going to be at the end. We want to be respectful of our guests' time here. Knut, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah, I'm just going to add some points to the Jamie Dimon thing. His view of Bitcoin stems from a misunderstanding that is very common, that miners create new Bitcoin, and this is not true. It's the Bitcoin users that employ miners to create the Bitcoin. But who are the Bitcoin users? And the usual answer is that it's the node runners. Whoever runs a node is a part of the network, and therefore they are the ones who create the Bitcoin. But this is also a simplification, an oversimplification, because all the node runners are part of a market. There's no such thing as a circular economy. Everything's connected. So they have incentives to follow whoever chooses to have their Bitcoin transactions relayed through them. They have to listen to to whoever interacts with them, and that's every Bitcoin user. But it's bigger than that too, because every Bitcoin user is connected to every other person on the globe because we're trading. Exchanging information is trading, and exchanging goods and services is trading. So even the other Bitcoiners are incentivized by everyone else too. So everyone creates Bitcoin, including Jamie Dimon himself. I mean, he in talking about Bitcoin, he speaks about it in English, and thereby he helps the meme English propagate and be used by more people. He's helping that meme. The English is also just an idea, but every time he utters the word Bitcoin, he helps that idea and that meme propagate. So unknowingly, he helps Bitcoin succeed by showing his ignorance. And this is what's so beautiful about it. Like, everything reinforces Bitcoin, and Bitcoin fixes everything. So everything is good for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin fixes this. Both of those memes are true. 100% true. And this is what normies don't get. There's no way to stop an idea whose time has come. As there's a Victor Hugo quote. There's nothing more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And what better idea could we have than a perfect way of interacting voluntarily with one another on the entire planet? There's no better idea. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, Knut, just building on that quickly. That's I was going to tweet something, and then I never care about the price of Bitcoin, so I didn't. But when Jamie Dimon spoke, I thought, this is going to create a bull run, because anytime somebody's trying to defend it or trying to defend their view, they're actually making themselves either look incredibly stupid, or because they haven't done the work on it, or conflicted because they make money out of it, of theft in the system. And as you start to realize that more and more, it just brings more people onto the network. So this network, both on the base layer and now second layer and third layer is coming, and what's happening, it works on a network effect, and most people totally miss what a network effect is. Why they get caught in all these altcoins. A network effect is the value of the network grows with each additional user, period. And this network is the only one which the network effect is where the value grows with every additional user, because most network effects over time centralize and then get to a point that are so big that they cannot pass that test. Google, Facebook, they have to choose some users over other users, the existing monetary system, some users over other users, and the network effect gets destroyed. In this network effect, because it constantly, every single person makes the network stronger for all people, it's unlimited where it goes.
Everything divided by 21 million, basically.
I like, if I could just tag something here too. We use the word love to describe this phenomena a little bit. And it's just so interesting that you could just tweak a very basic incentive, right? Where in a world running on sound money, you're basically incentivized to root for every entrepreneurial success, because every entrepreneurial success story is accretive to your purchasing power if you're saving in hard money. So that's a mind-blowing thing, right? Just that little simple tweak of an incentive suddenly changes the game dynamics of human interaction from zero sum to positive sum. And who knows how significant that small change, the propagation of that small change, is almost like a butterfly effect through us, right? Through our psychology, through our relationships, through our demeanor, our path of character development, moral development, et cetera, et cetera. And for those, this may sound a bit out there, as Bitcoin tends to do. Kind of a shameless plug here. The number zero in Bitcoin, like I could find no better analogy than that. Like there are certain things, certain ideas, as Knut said, that are so useful that you cannot refute them. It doesn't matter what you say about it, how you attack it, whether you support it, whether you demean it. It's like a zero-based numeral system is just so economically superior in every way that ultimately the survivors are going to be the ones that adopt it first and use it most. And I think Bitcoin's the same, right? It's just so economically superior as money, and it's just an idea. And I really don't know how you can turn that off, right? It's just maybe the best idea we've ever had, something like that, and definitely reframes our orientation toward one another and human relationships in general.
Yeah, I mean, Knut brought up the Jamie Dimon thing, and it's kind of this idea of all press is good press, but that's only true if the thing that the bad press is talking about is something that's resilient, right? Bitcoin can stand up to bad press. It actually thrives off of bad press. It's like sucks the life force of bad press and uses it. And you even talked about language. You talked about when Jamie Dimon uses language, he's essentially endorsing it, right? I mean, and to Jeff's point, it comes back to network effects. This is what, like he said, crypto doesn't understand network effect. English and language is like the best illustration of network effects ever, right? Because you can create a new language tomorrow, but if nobody's using that new language, why would you reinvent the wheel? Why would you create everything divided by 21 million language when you already have English as a network effect? So it comes back to this idea that the existing network is really where your best time and energy is spent using, because you can use that to harness more value for yourself rather than trying to build a new network. Knut.
Yeah, sorry for taking up so much space here, but I'm so excited about this conversation because I think it's a beautiful conversation. I'd just like to point to another analogy I often use, and that's the rules around chess. If you know how to play chess, you have the network effect of the entire chess community around the globe. So you can play chess with any other chess player and enjoy that game to its fullest. But you can choose to fork chess and play some other type of chess, but that reduces the number of players you can play with significantly. So you can play chess cash on a board that's too large with too few pieces on it with a couple of friends, or you can play chess theorem, which changes the rules all the time. And you can play chess Nero, where no one knows where the pieces are or how many there are. And you can play all of these stupid other forks of chess, but it doesn't matter. And even if like some big centralized chess association told every chess player in the world that pawns can move 3 steps now instead of 2 in the beginning, no one would play by those rules either, because you need the consensus, you need the players, you need the users to agree on this fixed set of rules. So this is what Bitcoin is, and chess has changed over the years. The fact that pawns move 2 steps, the first move that they can do that, is because it was convenient and better for every chess player. So that emerged out of the existing rules, and everyone agreed that it was a good change. And the longest chain, proof of work chain, wins. So this is what Bitcoin is. It's just an agreement on a fixed set of rules. But the game is not chess. The game is the game of everything, since you can use it as money. It's really just mathematics and code, but you can use it to interact with other people voluntarily, hence trade with other people. And it doesn't matter what you trade, it connects to absolutely everything we do. And yeah, and we all benefit if we play by the same rules. And all we need to do is agree.
I really like the framing of Bitcoin as like just an agreement, right? Just a universal contract that you can't really violate. I just wanted to throw in one other thing for conceptualization purposes. The English is not the original, but language, you could say, is the original open source software, right? We're constantly running it all the time in our minds, out of our mouths, between one another. It sort of changes at the edges slowly over time, but there's a very consistent core to it, a consensus core that lets us use it. And that's why, I think the definition for money, language of value, is so apt, because that's really what it is, right? We're running some type of open source communication protocol. And how do you stop English, right? It's almost, I think stopping Bitcoin is analogous to that question.
Daniel, let's hear from you.
Yeah, sure. It's just been such an awesome conversation. It's truly like mind blowing. I've got people DMing me that are telling me they're smash buying Bitcoin whilst they're listening to the spaces. So it's having an effect. And to bring it back to the social layer, I think probably the biggest question hanging over this group of people, from those listening is like, why are 4 or 5 married guys talking about social layer and on a dating pill app, like Orange Pill app, a dating app? But that's got to be pushed home, right? It's not a dating app. It is an app that is designed to help all of us find each other, and it's not the only one out there. I mean, BTC Maps were in here earlier. They've been doing great work connecting communities around the world. There's now like so many merchants can put themselves on BTC Maps so that we can find them as plebs when we're entering new cities or new countries or wherever. But there's also, huge work being done as well by community spirit. You look in the UK now, there's pretty much every county in the UK has a Bitcoin meetup thing going on, like monthly. And if we really concentrate on finding each other and nurturing this social layer, everything that we've been talking about today on this conversation just goes up another level. I mean, it goes into the stratosphere, and the network effect that Jeff was talking about, it just, it sets a rocket underneath it. So that's why we need to start finding each other and having these conversations. Rob, I know you're out in Nashville, you're near Bitcoin Park, and Sean is there as well. So you guys, you're spoiled. You get to hang with Bitcoiners more than most of us. And those guys that are in Austin, they've got the Bitcoin Commons there. There's an initiative trying to be built in Madeira, the same kind of thing. We just need more and more of that. And I'm here for it. How do we create communities full of Bitcoiners? I think that's the true Citadel meme for me. Not building walls and living in castles. The Citadel meme is being around like-minded people in your community 24/7.
Yeah. So I want to lead this into kind of a historical, your guys' historical thoughts of the roles that social networks played in different movements. And when I say social networks, I'm not talking about social media, tech network, but actual person-to-person networks. Throughout history, what has been the role of person-to-person connections in bringing about change? So whether we're talking about a revolution, or we're talking about the spread of religion, or we're talking about the spread of a philosophy, or the spread of democracy, or whatever it happens to be, what was the role of person-to-person connections in that? If you guys can, think of any off the bat.
I think this touches a whole bunch of stuff that's already been said, but the role, it is who we are. We started in villages, and we relied on each other, and to be able to trade and rely on somebody else is going to go out and hunt an animal, and somebody is going to stay behind and watch the kid. It requires a group dynamic, because we don't have enough time in our day to build our life and do every single thing within our life. So we rest on top of all of the great people who have gone before us, and the trade between those people doing specific tasks to make life better. Money is the connection to that, and it aggregates. And when you think about, I've said this on too many podcasts, so forgive me, but all we are is energy, storage, and compute, searching for ever higher energy, storage, and compute. And we have ourselves limited energy, storage, and compute. So we link ourselves together to find more energy, storage, and compute. Our entire world is a giant supercomputer with us at the core of it, searching for ever higher levels of energy, storage, and compute. The printing press was a massive increase to storage, and it was because it was a massive increase to storage and holding, and people could reference that and not forget it. it was also a massive increase to compute, and human society explodes on that. Now, some of the things holding that back were the things that had to centralize. Cities that lots of people with trust and money, essentially really great compute, outperformed smaller cities or cities that were that didn't have lots of or that didn't have high trust in currencies. And that whole thing over time, but that needs to centralize around energy to bring in energy into the city, which produces risk to that. We are going through a fundamental shift, a phase transition in society, and Bitcoin allows us to transition from a way that always was, and we just relied on, that produced a whole bunch of risks, to something that's totally different. But it's all of us in the core. And that's, so that'll be my last thing. The faster people realize it, the faster they build a bridge to the other side, and the more time they spend in it. And many of the people on this call are spending more time in it, and as a result, their lives are richer as a result. And that's what and for all of the people, when we call them normies, for me it actually it pushes back. I push back every time I hear it, because I just think we're all just people. And we're some people that don't understand what we're talking about that right now, and some people that understand it. And we're trying to get more people to understand it, because it'll be really great for those people and us.
I love all that. A lot of great points there. I just going back to like the original question of what is the role of peer-to-peer interaction and these changes across human history. There's a great book by Rene Girard. This is Peter Thiel's favorite book. It's called Things Hidden Since the Foundation of the World. We're doing a series on it now, an ongoing series. And Knut mentioned this earlier. He mentioned memes, but there's Girard's thesis goes into the idea of memetics, actually. And it's a very profound book, but the nutshell version is that the word mimesis is what he really focuses on. And mimesis is where we get words like imitate, mime, mimic, things like this. And Girard asserts that basically all human interaction is a mirroring. We're always imitating one another. This is how we learn. We grow up with our parents. We imitate their behaviors. Unconsciously, we adopt their ways of being. And that's how, to talk about how important it is for person-to-person interaction and change. It's like that's the only thing that drives change. We're actually passing these modes of being to one another in every action. And so I think it's so critical to take that seriously. And I know a lot of the guys speaking today are parents. I think it really becomes abundantly clear to you once you become a parent. You see your own personality reflected back to you and your child, good, bad, and ugly, and causes you, I guess, just to bring unconscious parts of yourself to consciousness. But this idea that we really need to live what we talk about, right? This is Socrates, that he had to exemplify his philosophy, right? It's not enough to just talk about it. He had to actually live it. And I think that is just such a critical element for Bitcoin success, that we embody, truth-seeking, proof of work, love, if we could use that word related to Bitcoin. I mean, this is as much of a social movement as it is a financial movement. So I think it's all really important to keep that in mind.
I want to add in again back to the original kind of topic of historical implications of social networks or social connections, I suppose. In the example from recent memory that I wanted to give was what happened in Canada last year. You had a group of people around the country in Canada that basically said, we're not happy with how things are currently working. You know, and I don't need to get too deep into the details, but effectively had a group of people that were pretty spread out around the country that said, listen, like, this is way too onerous on us. This is kind of ruining our lives, and we want change. And with them kind of dispersed everywhere, the discontent was really not, it wasn't effective, right? But what happened with these social connections and people finding others that felt and believed the same as them is we witnessed the largest protest in the history of Canada. And again, I'll say the largest protest in the history of my country. And it brought the government effectively to a standstill. It evoked some very harsh reaction, but we look forward to where we are now. Well, zero restrictions of any sort. And again, you can attribute to that different things, but I think it would be silly to say that the largest protest in Canadian history didn't have an effect on it. And then we also have a group of people that now has been connected to Bitcoiners. I mean, there were Bitcoiners in their midst also, but Bitcoiners kind of saw this as these people have some of the same values in terms of believing in not having centralized control to the extent that it was placed upon the Canadian people. And so there was a massive outpouring of support in and around that idea. And now there have been further social connections, further seeds planted, or further orange pills divvied out to the crowd. And, the effect isn't immediate, but I think that there's going to be a large number of people moving forward that a few years from now, you may hit your local meetup in different parts of Canada, and you ask the person their origin story, and I think there will be many an origin story that begins with, well, I got a donation this one time when I was at the protest, or I saw this happen and it was my first real kind of aha moment of, oh, this seems different to our legacy system. So I think, again, the social connections and the social networks are so valuable, because regardless of how dispersed you may be, it allows you to be a node in the network of those particular values. And again, as was already stated before, much to the chagrin of the Jamie Dimons of the world, you can be that node that enforces your own set of consensus rules, and how that network works for you, and others are in consensus with you. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
I want to keep this going. That was amazing, Ben. Jeff, I do know that you have a hard out, so feel free at any point if you need to leave. We don't want to hold you up. We won't think you're rude by dropping out. So yeah, just feel free to come and go as you need to. And Knut, I'm gonna kick it over to you, but I would like to get a female voice on here. Enza, what do you have for us?
Hello, I'm calling from Dubai now. I'm in Dubai. We use actually Bitcoin here to buy property. And I believe that faltering belief in fiat dollar is the reason we have a Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the long duration asset, and the less people believe in state issued money, the more they should believe in Bitcoin. Belief is not quantifiable, but the events we had in US in 1979 demonstrated a high risk of government default leads directly to lower demand for US dollar. And I believe in 2023, lower demand for US dollar should lead us directly to higher demand for Bitcoin and other crypto. So for me, I mean, Bitcoin is insurance against all the tail risks to the US dollar. And Bitcoin is still growing, needs more adoption. This grows through connecting people. You build the trust between people. You create more interest in it. We can create a Discord as well. So I don't have currently the app on Android, but there is an underlying need to connect, and and that remains and is done through other means. Just in the past, let's say, after I was working in Cairo, I remember Arab Spring started, and connections were done via Facebook. Then, in order to change the Egypt, while this was a political revolution, Bitcoin is a monetary revolution and needs the same level of connection.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the the pitch on the Android version. We have some really fun news coming out with the Android
yeah, I will
version
be
very
waiting.
soon. Yeah, yeah. So we will get that to you ASAP, and we can't wait to have you on. So Knut, you've had your hand up for a bit. Thank you, Enza. We really appreciate it, and stick around. We would love to hear more from you. Knut,
Yeah, thanks.
Knut. Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you, Knut.
Yeah, just a point on how different the Bitcoin system is to the existing fiat monetary system. Right now, we're giving up our time for stuff. Anyone in the fiat hamster's wheel is giving up their time for stuff, and Bitcoin is literally the inverse of the incentive-wise of what we're living in now. So in the future, we'll all give up our stuff for more time. So when you say that you buy property with Bitcoin, that's cool, but I suspect that more and more people will buy Bitcoin for property, since property is the shitcoin here and not Bitcoin. So we're headed towards a world in which consumerism disappears, and we get to this. More and more people get to this philosophical insight that which they can do without they own, and it leads to us focusing on the social layer and connections with other people, and not on stuff. And I find this truly beautiful.
Yeah, Knut, one of the things that I think
go ahead.
this would be helpful is house prices measured in the fiat currency will still continue to go up, and a lot of people will be fooled to believe that it's working. But measured against Bitcoin, they're going to fall to the utility value. It's two completely different systems, and I know you know that. But when you look at network effects, and when you look at what's happening, kind of from watching businesses, many businesses think, okay, I'm going to do it all in all markets right away. But the network effect is actually it spins locally first, and that makes sense because locally, you more businesses that are accepting Bitcoin attract more people that are using Bitcoin, and you start to use it more and more, and you start to realize, why am I in this other system? But why early in that network effect before because remember how early we are in Lightning and how early we are in the stuff that's coming. That didn't exist in Bitcoin. And so we're very early in that process. But now when you download a wallet and you share with how easy it is to transact for less than a penny and move value anywhere, or less than a penny, the light turns on for more and more people, and it builds more value in that. Now, as more clusters of business in different regions start to take that value, it just explodes as more people start to build onto that. So we're just early in that cycle, but it's inevitable because there's so much value to all of us, and the output of that value is a complete system change from the existing system. The existing system has to get weaker as that gets stronger because it is us. Now, as you think about that transition and what should you do? To me, you should I'm careful with those words. Some people right now, and I'm trying to do as many things with Bitcoin as possible. I try to spend it every chance I have. I try to spend it to incent the network I want to live or to grow, to more entrepreneurs in that system and more businesses that are accepting Bitcoin, to be able to allow them to grow, so that they're encouraged from that network effect. And the more that each of us do that, the faster that this happens.
Absolutely, but that does not mean buying frivolous stuff. It means spending your money on things you love and things that are valuable long term.
Yeah, and that perfectly leads into my next and final question for you guys. We want to be respectful of everybody's time. You guys have given us a Saturday. It sounds like Robert was at least able to be productive by getting some weights in. But the last question I have for you guys, and I think that this is a fun and interesting question, but so every technology had early doubters, right? Like we kind of referenced that earlier. I think we referenced automobile. We always talk about electricity and things, but eventually those things became ubiquitous. Eventually those things became undeniable. What needs to occur for Bitcoin to become undeniable? What needs to occur? I guess the term we use is hyper-Bitcoinization, but really, like, that's what needs to happen. Is Bitcoin needs to reach this escape velocity that it's undeniable to any of the doubters, the Jamie Dimons or the whoever in the world. What is the thing that, I guess that it's a two-part question. What is the point at which Bitcoin is undeniable? Is it a certain amount of adoption? And what gets us to that point?
It's already undeniable. It's inevitable already. Speeding adoption is second and third layer technologies that move this into the background. And because a lot of people on this call understand how the existing system works down to the sand and how Bitcoin works down to the sand. Most people don't spend. Maybe we're unique in that way, that we care about how the plumbing works that gives rise to all of the other things that we take for granted in our life. But most people don't care about the plumbing. They care about bringing value to their life. And they don't see when the plumbing is broken, how that gives really bad value to their life, and they're stuck into a system. And so many people on this call, and that's kind of the rabbit hole. You have to as you understand the plumbing of the existing system and how that is going to bring way worse. It's going to get way worse over time as your individual rights and freedoms get taken away, and how a new system give them back to you and provide a world of hope. Now, yes, we all get that, but most people, when you're 99% of the population is still stuck thinking that the existing system, the system that they're in, spending all their time, is safe, when it's not. As technology gives rise to move, kind of push Bitcoin, that base layer, so they don't have to think about that. They just get more value. That's what the Lightning Network is. Trade of people. It's as an example. It's just an orange pill app or other things, and the more people that use this, they start to see value get brought to them in a way they never had before, and then the plumbing just moves to the background. That's where we're moving.
Daniel, what do you think? Are there any historical precedents that you can analogize to Bitcoin as far as its undeniable moment and what it took to get there for these other technologies historically, and how that relates to Bitcoin?
I don't think I could say anything further than what Jeff's just said, and it's all covered as well in his book. So if nobody's read Jeff's book, go and pick it up. You know, The Price of Tomorrow. It's inevitable. It is inevitable, and as soon as people get comfortable with that, the better for all of us, because everybody on here on this call is, I'm sure, that they've reached that point of 100% conviction, and that is an incredible feeling to have. It gives you so much hope, and it fills you with hope, and you cannot turn off that feeling. You cannot turn off these connections that we make with each other. They just happen naturally. It's like nothing you've ever felt before in your life. So I'm here for it. I appreciate everybody on this call, and yeah, let's go.
I think it was Ayn Rand had a great definition of value. Piggyback off what Jeff was saying there, that value is that which a human being acts to maintain or enhance, something like that. Acts to gain or keep, I think she said. And that's what, the question, what needs to happen? This is where it gets a little bit ruthless, perhaps, because I think it's really just Darwinian, right? Like, what needs to happen for when a superior predator is introduced into an ecosystem? What needs to happen for that predator to assert its dominance? Well, you just need time, right? It just plays itself out. And as Jeff was saying, ultimately, people, a lot of people may not care about the plumbing, but everyone's pretty concerned with increasing value, right, in their lives, towards acting towards something that they can gain or keep, preserve. And at the end of the day, we live in a world where ownership is being violated all the time, right? Taxation, inflation, regulation, capital controls, et cetera, et cetera. And that dynamic, in my opinion, over time pushes people into the form of ownership that cannot be compromised. And that's what Bitcoin is, right? It's the most radical form of ownership we've ever had, a form that can't really be disintegrated from its owner, as long as you're putting it in a proper custody model. And I think we just need time, right? The fiat currency thing has to play itself out again. I hope we don't have to go through a hyperinflation. I'm very optimistic about Bitcoin's capacity to offset some of that. People talked about a smoother transition now that Bitcoin is an option, but I really think it's just a matter of people waking up to the reality that they're being preyed upon in the existing system and then seeking refuge in Bitcoin. So it's just a matter of time for that idea to spread.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm here running the Orange Pill app social media account, but I've been on the team for just a few months. I actually met Matteo at Pacific Bitcoin. We got to talk for a few minutes. We got our conversation actually got interrupted by some pleb named Michael Saylor. But anyways, in that few-minute conversation before Saylor came up and was talking about it, I caught the vision. Literally just an attendee at Pacific Bitcoin, and I talked to Matteo. And I asked him, what's the point of this app? Like, there's other social medias out there. There's Twitter, Plebs Connect on that. What's the purpose of your app? And Matteo, you're in here, just gave you access onto it to speak. But what is the vision? Like, why is a pleb app? Like, why is a Orange Pill app something that's needed when we have these other forms of communication? Like, what's the magic or what's the secret sauce in Orange Pill app that's not currently existing, in other places?
Hey, Brian. Well, thanks for letting me in. I'm a little sick, but I'll try my best. So, yeah, the main reason why I thought it would be great to have an app that we can all converge and meet each other. Well, it's because nothing beats meeting another plebs in real life. At least that was my experience. And I was like, wouldn't that be great if we could do this at scale globally without the need of going to a conference and, paying a lot of money, or a meetup, which is great, but sometimes, you can attend and then it's 5 people. So I thought, how do we get this feeling of meeting other plebs in real life to as many people as possible, and to as little cost as possible? So that was the incipit for the app, and so the differentiator of Orange Pill app to all the other social media. Well, first of all, we are 100% focused on Bitcoiners. So, all of our messaging, all of our branding, all of our focus is on Bitcoin and Bitcoiners. And it's a paid app, which means, it's a high signal, low noise app. Because as we all know, and, we're on Twitter right now, and I've been on Twitter forever. It's full of bots, it's full of scam, it's full of spammers and, Asian ladies sending you a DM about your trade. And that doesn't really help to find people and meet them in real life, because you never know who's this person gonna be at the end of the day. And so it's a members only app, which help, reducing the noise as much as possible. And on top of that, we use, approximate geolocation to show you the user that are nearby. So if you find somebody that you have a great time on the app, it's easy because you already know, okay, this person is close by, to go and meet in real life. And so that's the vision for Orange Pill app.
So it's a dating app.
Go ahead, Knut. Say it again.
So it's a dating app.
It
No.
is.
How did
Quote,
you
Yeah.
quote,
guess?
not a dating app.
I would like to address the previous question. What needs to happen for Bitcoin to become undeniable and, truly unstoppable? I'd like to reframe that question and start from the individual perspective, because that's a question that each and every one of us needs to ask ourselves. Like, what needs to happen with Bitcoin for you to discover it as this undeniable thing? For me, it was in 2017 during the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. That was a cross between a train robbery and a Christmas gift. And for me, it was obvious which side would win. And I bet on the right side. And that sort of sent a signal to me that this thing is actually decentralized. The users are in charge. No one can control it. No one can change it. And that was just an epiphany for me. Like, what is this thing? It's actually working. It's doing everything it claims to be doing. Why are people ignorant? Why are normies running around doing normie things? We have this now. Like, that was my epiphany. And I think it's a question that each and every one of us needs to ask ourselves. Like, why am I not using Bitcoin for everything? Like, why am I not fully orange pilled yet? And what more does Bitcoin need to prove? Yeah. So I think framing it from the individual's perspective is key. Like, you need to ask yourselves that.
You're a true Bitcoiner when you always bring it back to personal responsibility, right? So,
yeah, but that's the entire thing. It's based around personal responsibility. And illuminated the fact that we are personally responsible for our lives. We have to take matters into our own hands. We cannot rely on third parties. That's the road to freedom does not lead through more obedience. That's not how you acquire freedom. You need to take matters into your own hands. And we have this tool now, a tool for love that simultaneously gives us the capability to tell people that don't love to fuck off. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, the best systems aren't built on trusting in other people's altruism. The best systems are ones built on understanding that everybody's incentives are for themselves, because you can count on that. We always can rely on people to be self-incentivized. So yeah, we need that kick in the pants every once in a while to realize we do need to look out for ourselves. We do need to take care of ourselves. That's where it starts. Okay, so I've already abused your guys' time more than I said I would. I wanted to keep it to an hour, but you guys, this has been an amazing conversation. I know some people were saying, oh, we weren't recording it. We actually are. We're just recording it on a secondary device. Anybody that wants to listen back. So just yeah, I want to close it out. That was the last question. I just want to open this up to any of the speakers. If you guys have any last thoughts before we let you guys go, the plebs, everybody else, we're all going to hang out for a few minutes. We're going to finish up our seed phrase for those that want to stick around for a few minutes. But I do want to let the speakers get on with their day. So any closing thoughts from our speakers?
Yeah, find and support your plebs. We're all in this together. We've got it, and you know, the quicker we can make this happen, the better. And we'll do that by finding each other. And I've just seen guys who are in the call. There's a great way to support plebs, because you can just go there and support your pleb projects, whatever they're doing. You know, that they might be writing articles. Knut's on there. He's writing his book. You can support Knut's work. There's different ways that we can do this now and support each other and build this social layer out. So they're my closing thoughts. And thanks, Brian. Excellent hosting, as always.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm just grateful for having me. I always get a lot out of interacting with Bitcoiners. And today was no exception. Lots of great quotes, little nuggets that I think are enhancing my thinking and understanding about all this. And yeah, I just want to try and keep training my life to be a better.
Thank you, Robert. Ben, do you have anything, any closing thoughts for us?
Yeah, I mean, I always think it's good to end with a call to action for everybody. That's kind of one of my favorite things to do. So, if I could implore everybody listening to do something, as Daniel said, connect to your local Bitcoiners, but even go a step beyond. I'm really honed into the idea of trying to create those connections in a meaningful way. And so I've taken to going to, you know, my local meetup and connecting to locals and finding out, you know, what they're passionate about, but what they do for a living as well, and what they're looking for, because I'm trying to establish, you know, I've been living on Bitcoin for a while, but I want to gravitate as much towards living on Bitcoin in a way where I don't necessarily have to rely on kind of like those various gap bridging techniques. You know, those are fantastic. I love, you know, Bull Bitcoin in Canada to pay my bills, Bitrefill for gift cards, and like all those different things that you can use. But I also love being able to know a local person that I've connected to that does good work or has a good product. And so like I've connected with a rancher south of me, and I've filled my freezer with beef. I just learned at my last meetup that there is a poultry farmer where I can now get my eggs for Bitcoin, all of it for Bitcoin. So I implore you to go to your local meetups, meet your local plebs, discuss what you value, discuss what you do, what you're looking for, and what you can offer, and begin to build those social connections so that you are self-sovereign and you've got a self-sovereign community as well.
That's so wonderfully said. I mean, yeah, those like was referenced earlier, the shaker rancher's hand concept, and going out and meeting those people. There's magic that happens in real life. The online connections, we're in an era where online connections are important, but I think it's safe to say for anybody that's made in real life connections that there's something extra. There's something more about those in real life connections. And this is my shill moment. I mean, this is what Orange Pill app literally exists for. So many people are in Bitcoin. Their wife, girlfriend, husband, whatever, doesn't want to talk about Bitcoin, and they're starving to be able to connect with people and go out and grab coffee and talk for 3 hours about Bitcoin. And they're looking for people to spend Bitcoin with in real life. Orange Pill app literally does that. We're going to help you find people that are close to you. We're going to help you find people that they're at where you're traveling to, whatever it happens to be. So if you're interested, if you're not on Orange Pill app right now, go to theorangepillapp.com. you'll see if the iOS download link, you'll see where you can pre-register for the Android. We were getting a lot of questions during the space about why we only have a fiat option. We actually have a pay with Lightning option as well. Please, sign up with Sats. We love it when people pay in Bitcoin. And so, yeah, the orangepillapp.com, and you're going to find all the necessary links there in order to get started and connect. We're going to have some really exciting announcements about the Android launch very soon. So our network is going to be growing. There's going to be more Bitcoiners near you in very short order here. Very, very exciting stuff. Ben, one of the things that when you were talking, it came up. So in my my book tour for Bitcoin evangelism, I go on a lot of I kind of call it my Jesus ate with sinners type of thing, where I go on blockchain podcasts and cryptocurrency podcasts, and I talk about Bitcoin, trying to bring altcoiners over. And this blockchain podcast host said something to the effect of, well, you know what? There's the problem with Bitcoin is it's supposed to be peer-to-peer cash, and yet you can't use it anywhere. And my response to her, I just kind of laughed and I said, that really depends on what circles you run in. And that's really true, because I understand why people that are in the altcoin space, they don't understand that you can spend Bitcoin, because they just aren't plugged into that social layer yet. It just kind of unveils the importance of having a social layer, of having contacts where you can spend Bitcoin, where you can talk Bitcoin and all those sorts of things. So it's literally the reason why Orange Pill app exists. I personally joined the team because I believe in that vision. I think that the path to hyper-Bitcoinization, one of the catalysts will be Orange Pill app. I think that I think it's that big of an idea. So that's why I'm giving my time to promoting this message, because I think it's that important for plebs and Bitcoiners to get on board with. Daniel, did you have any closing thoughts for us before we close it out here?
No, I gave mine. That was.
Oh, you did. You did. Yeah. Sorry.
Go find and support your plebs. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yours was beautiful. Guys, thank you so much. I'm going to hang out for a few minutes. I'm going to give it.
I have some closing thoughts.
Oh, sorry, Knut. I knew I skipped somebody. It was Knut.
Yeah. Thank you so much for putting this together. It's been an amazing 90 minutes. There's around 700 people in this room, which is amazing in itself. And I'm going to use this last minute to shamelessly shill our new video premiering in 90 minutes. It's called Why Bitcoin is the Greatest Meme of All Time. It's a collaboration between me, Yoni Appelberg, and Guy Swan. So be sure to check that out and get on Orange Pill app. Thank you.
Knut, are you going to be tweeting that out, or how do we find that? Is it on YouTube, or what's it going to be?
Yeah, I already tweeted it out. So if you go to my profile, you'll find it there. May have to scroll down a bit, but I don't think so. I think I pinned it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna be watching that here in 90 minutes. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna now. There's a few people that requested to speak. I'm gonna start opening it up for more people to speak. If you guys have questions or thoughts, jump in. This is our open-ended pleb time. I do want to fire off the rest of these 12 words though before we open it up to everybody, because I know people were patiently waiting throughout the episode. We did give the first 3 words away already at the beginning of the episode, so I'm going to start on word number 4. Word number 4 is modify. Word number 5 is solution. Word number 6 is smoke. Word number 7, aspect. Word number 8, friend. Word number 9, illegal. Word number 10, puzzle. Word number 11, cable. And for word number 12, you guys needed to retweet the space and DM Orange Pill app, and we will give you the 12th word. So those are the 12 words right there. Ben, I want to kick it back to you real quick before we open it up.
Brian, I think you're going to need to change your tactics on these seed phrases, because anybody that watched my recent tutorial on how to create a seed phrase from dice will know that the 12th word is a checksum. And so I'm sure some people are figuring out how to calculate the 12th word as we speak.
You know what? I have that saved to my watch later playlist. I started and I haven't finished it. So I probably should have watched that before we did this, huh?
That's all right. Well, they're gonna have to. There's only so many possible ones it could be, knowing the 11 words, but it won't take too many guesses. So hopefully people retweet it and get going, or those guesses start flowing in.
So what is the mathematical probability? Is it like 1 in 20, 2046 or however many BIP words there are?
Nope. There's the final word. Each word is 11 bits. The final 8 bits are the checksums. So that means that there are three bits at the beginning of the final word that need to be calculated. So basically, those 3 bits of information can be 0 or 1. So that means it could be 000, 001, 010, 011, 100, 101, or 111. So people basically have to go, and if they know how to do that type of thing, there's 7 options. Not to rain on your parade or anything. Just
No. That's helpful for me. I've already learned so much from you. By the way, the wallet is already empty, so somebody figured it out.
Well, I mean, good for them. I think that person probably deserves it though, because they've done their homework. So congratulations, math wins.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's part of this. I mean, it's all meant to be for learning, right? We're not just giving away sats for no reason. We want people to understand how to import wallets and things like that. So in the past, let me ask this question, and then I'm going to open it up. In the past, we've made it so that the first word is the word that we gave away, and the rest of the 12 were in the episode. Would that actually be a more complicated thing to find, or would it be the same probability?
No, that would be more complicated, because the first word, there's 2048 possible 2048 possibilities. If you were to leave 2 words, then it becomes incredibly difficult to figure out. But 2048 at least gives you a little bit of buffer time. But just having the final word, because you only need 3 bits of entropy to figure it out, it's literally 7 guesses. So, the first word, or like 2 random words, leaving them blank, that would basically ensure that it's not going to be wiped immediately unless somebody had some sort of a program that could do all the guesses for them.
Gotcha. Well, to me, that's almost kind of fun that somebody was able to game the system. So, yeah, I don't know if they did or not, because there was plenty of people that already had the 12th word ahead of time because they did the steps. So hopefully it was fun either way. But Ben, you're like my guru when it comes to this stuff. I understand so much more about the technical side. I mean, I'm a total caveman, and for me to get any of this is mostly because of you on that technical stuff. So thank you.
They
Okay.
didn't game the system. That is the system.
You know what, Knut, you always bring it back to the obvious point. You're absolutely right. Like that is the right answer. So, okay. Let me open it up. Anybody else have any thoughts here? Sorry, I'm checking everybody.
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
I think Enza wants to give a last word. Let's see what she has to say. Enza.
Hello, I just want to thank you for having me on, and I will be attending Plan B in Lugano, and I will be waiting for your Android app, because that's a new way of interaction versus the old style, just meeting in person, and can be very practical for Bitcoiners to connect, exchange the ideas, and support projects and promote adoption. That's all. And
that was great answer. Thank you very much. Hey, Brian, are you there?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I couldn't tell if it was cutting out for me or not.
Yeah. So
go ahead. What's up, Mateo? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. So
go ahead.
So I was listening to this amazing conversation, and Very honored to be part of it. And I was thinking, how we gonna close it and make it even better? So I have an idea. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
How about we launch Android right now?
Wait, what? Like, so this legitimately is actually news to me because this was up in the air. You're not messing with me, right? You're not just trying to show off.
No, I just did it.
All right. So if you're in the audience and give us the thumbs up or some sort of reaction so we know you guys are listening. Do you guys want Orange Pill app to go live on Android right now? Like right now as you're listening. All right, we're getting some reactions. I think it's fair to say that they want it. Man, yeah, dude, let's go live.
Let's go. 3, 2, 1, and we're live. Or at least we should be soon. Like as soon as Google let us go. But yeah, so the app is live. I haven't told you for a week because I wanted to do it during the space. I'll give a little surprise to everybody. But yeah, the app has been ready to go since Monday. And yeah, I just clicked the button. I have a red button on my desk, like the nuke. Yeah, we should be live as soon as probably like 30 minutes from now.
Wow, that's exciting.
I know you've been asking me so many times, and
I know. Well, when I'm the voice of the plebs, right? Like, so I'm answering these comments, and when Android, I wake up. That's my wake up morning routine is to see when Android and to let everybody know, hey guys, it's coming. I promise.
Exactly.
And so here we are.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was, yeah, no more when Android. We're gonna miss that. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, it's it's deployed and it should be live literally any second, any minute from now. So that's big news.
So you mean I can book dates on my Android phone? That's fantastic.
No, Knut, I restricted your account. You cannot do that.
I was wondering why my request for a date with Knut went unanswered.
There you go.
Swipe left.
All right. So let's see. Craig, thanks for hanging out, man. We appreciate you jumping on here with us. I hope you're as excited about the Android release as I am. But yeah, you've had your hand up for a while, and so we would love to give you the floor. What do you have for us, Craig?
Sure. Thank you very much. Great space. I enjoyed the entire conversation. Have two quick questions. Number one, I want to do my proof of work on your app before I sign up. Is that going to be a good place for me to find local meetups, not just like an individual to have lunch with or something, but actual meetups? So that's question A. And the second question I have is about privacy and Lightning and messaging people. I've read a little bit about this and I'm a little bit confused as to how the Lightning Network could be used for private messages to people that are also on the Lightning Network. So those are my two questions.
So Matteo, I think they'd like to hear from you on this. I'm adding some more speakers if you wouldn't mind taking that. Yep. And then Ben, maybe even if you could help answer some of the Lightning messaging questions, that would be kind of cool too.
Right. So the question was if they're gonna be a meetup. So the meetup is we have on the roadmap probably now that Android is live. The next step is to launch the events feature where you're gonna be able to do three things: create an event, promote the event to your local plebs, and discover events. So you'll see all the list of the events nearby. Again, using the approximate geolocation. So it's not live yet, but it will be live definitely in February. And privacy, obviously, we all become Mac here, so privacy for us is paramount. And the best thing is that you can trust it because we charge you to use the app. So we have zero incentive to do any tracking. Also, we hate advertising. So because you pay to use the app, we are the product instead of the user. And so that's the privacy part. And then the other question was Lightning messaging. I forgot.
Yeah, but before we go into that, you sign up for the lifetime for 300,000
Hmm.
sats. Are all those features you're talking about going to be
Oh yeah.
included in that, or they're going to be upcharging?
No. It's all included. We don't. So I don't believe in the freemium model. Like we give you some features, and then if you're in, you're in, and every feature will be included in the membership. So there's nothing of that. So everything is included.
And so just so you know, I believe I've made it so that everybody is now capable of speaking. If you can't speak, feel free to send another request in. I think it's maybe maxing us out. Ben, did you have any thoughts on Craig's question about messaging through Lightning?
Yeah, I mean, so Lightning in and of itself, I mean, you can transfer data via the Lightning network. I mean, there's been kind of hackathons and various things done through the Lightning network that allow people to. I mean, there was even, I think there was somebody created an application called Red Phone, and you can actually make a real-time phone call via the Lightning network. You can, when people are doing like streaming for sats, and they send stats listening to a podcast, and they do a boost, that you can encode an actual message into the Lightning transaction, which will show up on the receiver's node, and then there's applications that can then interpret that and show it as a message. So there is such thing as being able to transfer data that is not just monetary value through the Lightning network. Now, the question moving forward will be, is that a good idea? Is that practical? Will people who are running Lightning nodes want to relay that data? My thinking on it is beginning to shift a little bit. I think that what you'll see is additional layers for that, or just like external layers for that. So you have things like what's happening with Nostr right now, which is literally like there was no need for a token to create that network, that kind of decentralized connection, so social connection kind of thing, done with key pairs. But you can easily integrate Lightning into it. So yeah, I get the sense that Lightning node operators will begin to incorporate settings into their node based on their preferences of what kind of data and what kind of load that they want to bear, because you can get into instances where, like, if you're accepting basically everything, and this also comes down to like what Lightning Labs is doing with Taro, and the types of additional data that can be relayed through there, especially if you're an end node. I get the impression that you'll see a mix of this. You'll see some people utilizing Lightning for that, but I think you'll see also additional like third layers or external layers just with Lightning integrated into it. So you'll have layers specifically for communication and layers specifically for payments and so on and so forth. That's just my take right now.
Does that answer your question, Craig?
Yeah, that's great info, and I'll keep an eye on it. I follow Ben, and I'm sure if anything important comes along that we need to know about, he'll have it up on his YouTube channel, so I'll check it out.
Great, thank you. Now, let's see, Surfer Jim, did you have a question or comment?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me up. I was, it goes way back when you were talking about your last question about, what is it going to take? How long is it going to be for Bitcoin to be the thing that we all think about, hyperbitcoinization or whatnot? A few people use the word inevitable. I happen to believe that Bitcoin is also inevitable, and I would say, so the TLDR on what I'm going to say is that 2 generations from now is what I expect. And my logic works like this. The construct of money invented by humans and then put in the form of things allowed us to prosper in no other way before that. The intermediary good known as money, has allowed for the prosperity of the world like no other thing ever. And because of that, we have all the value on this planet that we have. We also are able to specialize in one thing and get all the other things we want, because this one thing in the middle called money that you can use to buy anything, and with anything you can also buy money. So it's the most saleable good, as it's referred to. So the better the money, the better society can price things and operate and count on the future. But money's been corrupted and co-opted, and now we have the best form of money. So I would like to believe that money, the concept and the construct of money, is the most important discovery humans have ever come up with. And putting it in the form of Bitcoin makes Bitcoin the most important discovery in all of human history, because it's the best form of money. People all act every day in their own rational self-interest, and they make millions of decisions to remove current and future uneasiness. All part of Mises doctrine, Ayn Rand thinking, all stuff I've learned since I learned about Bitcoin. Because of those factors, every Bitcoin gets adopted one human being at a time. In the early stages, it gets adopted by human beings that learn how it works. In the later stages, it gets adopted by people who trust somebody else that says, use this is money. So in future generations, kids will just use the money their parents give them, which will be Bitcoin. It's the two oldest generations alive on the planet right now that need to die. I don't know how big you want to call them, 15, 20 years worth of people at, for every generation, whatever that is. As they're gone, the need for them to keep the system they're used to will also die with them. And the people in the middle, guys like BTC Sessions, his age group, those are the people who are really going to see it, and their kids. And so within a couple generations, most of the people on the planet will recognize that this form of money is in their own rational self-interest and they need to get some. And so in a couple generations, most fiat money will be dead and Bitcoin will be the world's reserve currency, in my opinion. Let's hope I'm right. Go Bitcoin, right? Thank you.
I hope you're right as well. I think we're all betting a substantial amount of value that you're right. So I think we all hope you're right. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Lisa, thank you. We sent you a request minutes before the space started because people were asking for you to join. So I'm glad. Thank you so much for dropping by. It was a last minute request. But I don't know how much of it you caught. I saw you were in here, but I didn't know at what point you joined. But I would love to get your thoughts or any comments, questions you have.
Oh, thanks, guys. Sorry, I've actually got COVID, so I've been not on Twitter a whole lot. Yes, I know, but I just caught the last couple of speakers, and it really resonated with me what Surfer Jim said when he first said it'll be a couple of generations. Instantly it's like, oh Jesus Christ, I hope not, right? Like that's so fucking long. But then I thought to myself, actually, I think Bitcoiners are probably the only humans on Earth that would be willing to work for something that they'll never see the benefit of. And that's where I feel like we are right now. No matter what happens, I'm still working for Bitcoin. We all, Jim is still working for Bitcoin. Even if we see no reward, I'm not giving up because, as Jim said, like this is the future of humanity. This is how we all, can store our own sweat equity and have a fair share of things. But anyway, I thought that was so profound when he made the comment about the generational aspect of Bitcoin.
The work in itself is the reward. That's how I view it.
Ed Mintz, what do you have for us? We have a similar last name. My last name is D Mint. Your last name is Mintz. Go ahead and share what you have for us. Thank you.
I came in late, and I was just wondering, when I came in here, it sounded like you were talking about Satoshi's wallet and somebody breaking into it or something. Is that what I heard?
No, I hopefully there was no cause for panic. We had our own wallet that we were giving out the seed words for. So nobody hacked Satoshi's wallet. So
okay, good.
The funds are
that
safe.
could cause a real problem.
Surfer Jim still has those keys. He's holding on to those keys.
Good for him.
Yep. So, but at least we know that he's generationally into this, so he won't be selling those Satoshi funds anytime soon.
Also, I saw in the headline here. Was he in the speaker on the stage today? Did I miss him?
Surfer Jim?
No, Breedlove.
Yes. Yeah, you just missed Breedlove. He was here for about an hour and 20 minutes.
We haven't talked since 2014.
Well, send him a message on Orange Pill app. You guys can connect.
Yeah, I'll have to download that app. I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
All right. That's all I had to say. Have a good day.
Thank you. Well, I guess, guys, it's a Saturday. And how cool is this? It's Saturday the 21st, Sat 21. I mean, this thing was like in the stars. Thank you guys all for showing up. Matteo, did you have any last thought before we sign off?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So, well, first of all, you did an amazing job, Brian. I think in a different in a parallel universe, you're a radio host or something. But yeah, and I was very humble and honored to have all the speakers that you managed to convince to come. It was an amazing discussion, and yeah, I'm just happy that I can add anything to the Bitcoin ecosystem with Orange Pill app, and I hope as many players as possible will get the thrill and the excitement of meeting other players in real life to the app, which is the entire goal, and eventually that we speed up hyperbitcoinization, because something that I was meant to say during the conversation is that getting rich is fun and getting free is fun, and Bitcoin might achieve both of those things for us, but at the end of the day, if you don't share with somebody else, if you're not socializing, it's not fun. So it's all about sharing these moments and these achievements, and whether it's freedom of wealth or whatever it may be, with other people. And so Orange Pill app, it's it's the whole point of Orange Pill app, and so that's why we built it.
Wow. Yeah. That's profound. Getting rich means nothing unless you have somebody to share it with. That's wow, great stuff, Matteo. I really appreciate it. So guys, we're gonna close it out. I just wanted to make a note that the Simplest Bitcoin book was in the space. For whatever reason, it's not allowing her to join the stage. So I'm just gonna shill her real quick. Go to the simplestbitcoinbook.net. Her book there's a free PDF download. It's a great resource to show your friends. Download the PDF, send it to a no coiner, so that you can make another connection and have somebody to share your prosperity with as hyperbitcoinization happens. Thank you guys all so much. This was again a fun and amazing space. I'm going to play us off with a little bit of dating music. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Brian. This was wonderful.
Have a great day. Bye, everybody.